3, don't sleep on this dude. He's a home inspector. He's here to help you. You get into contract, the builder, once they actually get the home all built up and it's getting ready to be delivered to you, they're going to have their own processes typically built in, where they're going to have, people identified from the builder to actually come walk through it with you. They're looking like they're in your corner. And I'm not saying they're not, but you got to remember, they are arguably the #1 alpha dog in the entire company, right? To make sure that those meetings go well. So they are slick boogies, right? They know exactly what they're talking about. They can spot your thing that you might have umbrage with in advance. They'll do sneaky little stuff, like they'll go around before and be like, look, I already took care of all this for you. You don't got to worry about it. And it feels like, that actually just might be the case. But you got to get your own home inspection. You got to rely on that guy right there to be able to go in as an independent third party. Going to cost you maybe $500, right? For somebody good that's got the gadgets and the FLIR camera and the moisture meters and all the different stuff that makes them try to be able to see through walls when they can't, a non-invasive home inspection, because you got to be able to know that that's part of the sales process. Not just part, arguably the most insidious part of the entire sales process is those walkthroughs. And so you got to have someone in your own camp, your own corner, independently licensed third party to be able to go through. Arguably, you can have an opinion that says, hey, this is a brand new home. Like, what do you mean there's nothing going to be wrong with it, right? So those are some of the actual repair requests that we've had over the last 20 plus years of doing this that are the largest. It's because these homes are organisms. And when we live in them in the resale capacity, they mold to us, and you can actually see, when they're broken, because they'll have little fingerprints of that, like a water leak or, a roof that's failing or whatever the case might be, right? But when they're brand new, you don't have that body of evidence, right? So you want to be able to have somebody with the, coolest technology available out there to be able to go through the home and be able to look over your shoulder and make sure that you're not signing up for nothing. Now, you want to be able to knock all those things out in advance. You want to do most, if not every possible thing you can vet before the home closes. Now, most home warranties are going to have, builders are going to have warranties. So usually like in the first year, you've got indemnity around that. That's great. But just like with anything in life, when they've already got you in the home, they're 10 times less likely or motivated to do anything about it in a timely fashion. So try to get them in advance. Get the home inspection. And finally, the 3.5, right? The one that's kind of under the tray on this list, because it's not that popular, is you got to appreciate that each one of these builders is going to have their own echo chamber of third parties. What do I mean by that? They're going to have their own lender that's preferred, right? They're going to have all their own little ancillary third parties, like, I'm not going to go into the whole list. It's a big belly in the whale of the beast. So let's talk about that lender one in particular. Now, good, bad. The good is, a lot of these lenders that are tied in on these developments, they're going to have sweetheart deals for you, right? You use their lender, of course they're going to want you to use their lender, because the timing of this and the delivery of these and the lack of fallout for this stuff, and not to mention the fact that, these new builds are a little tricky sometimes, right? The timing of when it's done and how far they'll let you go before it's actually, before they give that CO, right? The certificate of occupancy ready to be actually go and be purchased and transferred over from home builder to the new owner. All that stuff is tricky, right? So there's a lender that's got to know what they're doing on that. And they want that. So they'll incentivize sometimes. They'll kick in some cash and be like, hey, here is closing cost credit we'll throw in if you use our preferred lender. All that stuff's well and good. Look at your options. Consider them all. But know also, though, that sometimes the medicine in that's cooked in with the mashed potatoes. And if you get your own independent lender to be able to cross-check the math, the rate, the fees, all that stuff that they're getting, sometimes it's actually more beneficial to go out and get your own lender in the outside market. Not all the time, but just make sure that that's not your only option. It sounds super enticing and attractive. Be like, oh man, I'm going to get a kick in. Well, just know that all that stuff's coming from somewhere. And sometimes it might even come at the cost of what a natural loan, in this case, would be able to afford you out in the open market. So there's probably about, 10 more on that list, but I don't want to bore you to death with any of them. I called those my 3.5 because those are the 3.5 that I see the most, that if we can get in front of, will hurt the least.
Greenhouse Group formula. 6 steps to 5 stars. 4 promises, 3 asks, 2 camps. Real estate and mortgage, and 1 team. Green Team. And no excuses. All right.